And good morning. I'm Mike Smith, your host for Community Viewpoint, and it's a show that informs you of what's going on in and around the city of Jacksonville, and I'm happy to have you, listening this morning, that is, okay? And this morning, I'm going to talk about something a little serious. This month, I understand, is Lupus Awareness Month, and I have a special guest this morning, and she's going to talk about lupus, what it is, how prevalent it is, in our community especially, who gets it the most, the whole 9 yards, but I don't know all of the facts. Miss Gail Carter-Cade, she knows what it's all about. Gail, good morning.
Good morning.
You're an advocate for lupus, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
All right. It's a very serious thing, and, I'm sure people like myself need to be more educated about lupus and what it's all about. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what's going on with lupus, especially within our community.
Well, I have lupus, and I call myself a lady of lupus, which I created a group, which we are creating awareness by raising the symptoms and solutions so that we can help save lives. See, if you ask most people whether or not they know somebody who had lupus or have lupus, they will say, I knew somebody who had lupus. It's always past tense because by the time they've gotten the symptoms and understand the symptoms, the person has passed away. So that's why I've created this momentum to try to build awareness of lupus in our community.
I see. Tell me what lupus is all about. What is it?
It's an autoimmune disease that mimics other diseases, and that's why it takes so long for people to discover that they have lupus. And also, it causes the body to attack itself. So, for instance, it may just say the heart's no longer good, so I'm going to attack the heart. The liver, the kidneys, the skin, because the awareness that we're doing now is for hair. Because it attacks the skin. And so the eyebrows, the eyelashes, the facial hair, body hair starts to thin. And sometimes as far as the hair, women may lose their hair. It may thin out slowly. Or it may just fall out in clops. And if there is any damaging of the hair follicle, they will sustain permanent hair loss.
I see.
So that's why we're trying to get this out here and let people know about lupus, because it's very prevalent among African American women. It's now creeping into the men, but it's really big in the African American population. It also affects Latinos, Hispanics, Alaska natives, and Hawaiian natives. But like I said, as far as African American women, we really are getting it.
Well, so it sounds like what you're telling me it's a thing that really attacks a lot of minorities.
Yes.
Okay. You've if you don't mind answering, how long have you had it? How long?
I've had it about 2 or 3 years. At first, I went through the same thing. I went to a doctor, and he said, I got tested, and then he said, nope, you don't have lupus. Meanwhile, I was referred to him from my main primary doctor, and said that the testing came back to saying that I did have it. But let me go back a little bit let you talk about a little bit of my symptoms.
Of course.
Okay. What happened to me is I was working a lot. I had my shop on the west side, and then I was doing some other jobs on the side. So I was working virtually 7 days a week. So that caused a lot of stress. And stress is a trigger for lupus flare-up. So what happened to me, I started having like seizure-like symptoms. Physically, I went through the motions of the jerking of my body, but it didn't affect my brain waves. So I experienced that in my sleep. And then I just got up the next morning, went to work like it was nothing. And then maybe Thursday or Friday, it started coming back again. So then I ended up having one at my shop. And then I was rescued to the hospital, and then they did all kinds of tests, but they still found nothing. They found nothing. So, of course, when that happens, they attribute it to stress, which was true. So they sent me home with all type of antidepressants to help me with the stress management. But as a result, I started getting an allergic reaction to the medicine. I started breaking out and massive rashes on my arms and my neck. So then as soon as I got one rash, I went back to the doctor. She gave me another antidepressant and another rash. I went back to her. She gave me something else. And then finally she said, let's have an autoimmune test. I didn't know what that was. So We did, and that's when it came out for the lupus.
I see.
And like I said, after that, then I went to another doctor follow-up, and he said no, it wasn't. But I changed doctors, and they I still have it, but it's very well managed. I had a choice to take the lupus medicine as a prevention, wellness, and I decided to take it, which I'm so glad, because I don't have the seizure-like symptoms right now because one sign that I didn't pay attention to is that my eye kept jumping.
I see.
And I just mixed it off, and like the lady who was next to me, she said, I think you better pay attention to that, but I didn't. And that's when, like I said, I started having the seizure-like symptoms. But so now, if I get so stressed and I feel like coming on, I rest. So I give a time out to myself and take deep breaths and make sure I relax. All that. So that's what I do now to head it off when I feel it's going to come on. And I also take my medicine, but I still suffer with rashes. Okay. That's another symptom. You get rashes. You can get them on your face. When it comes around your nose and on your cheek area to your ear, they call it like a butterfly rash. That's why the symbol for lupus is a butterfly. It comes from that. Okay. And I don't get that kind of rash. I get it on my other parts of my body. And so that's how.
So the rashes come and go, pretty much. Is that what it is, or do the rashes stay for a while? I mean, quite a while.
They stay for a while, but you will definitely have to take your medicine to get rid of them. You have to take a topical, and you'll have to take a pill. Okay. To manage it.
Now, again, going back to lupus and being more prevalent in women, why do you think women have it more than men? Is it really, you think women really stress out more than men? Since you said that was pretty much the cause of getting lupus?
Well, it says, they believe that it is difficult to determine the annual number of new lupus cases or the number of individuals who die from the health complication of the disease, or whether it's men or women. So it's still not known, but I could probably agree with what you're saying because we are under a lot of stress managing families and working. Like I said, like I was working 7 days a week. Right. And so if it's in your, and also lupus tends to be in your family. I have a cousin who has lupus.
I see. That was going to be one of my follow-up questions. You know, is it something that, is it passed down or is it pretty much like diabetics or, people with heart trouble, that kind of thing? Is it something that's passed down through the family line?
Yes, a lot of time it is. And it also could, another illness that can be in your family that can be connected to lupus is some type of arthritis. Because, see, when you go to a doctor for lupus, you go to a rheumatologist. So it's in that same family. Okay. And like another symptom that some people experience, I haven't gotten it really yet, I hope, is you get muscle aches or your body aches or hurts. Okay. It kind of mimics fibromyalgia. Okay. And but the reason why I said I think is because my legs are starting to bother me just a wee bit, and I'm just working with it. Still doing my exercise and keep it managed.
Right. Is it a weakness kind of thing?
Yes, it can become that way. Okay. It can become that way.
Okay. So I mean, you're still relatively a young woman. Does it hit women at any age or people at any age? Can you get it as a child?
It can. There are some cases where people are younger, but it's more or less, I think, in the 40s, ages in the 40s to get it.
Okay. So, again, you're managing your lupus. And I guess there have been cases where people ignore doctor's orders and the disease really takes over.
It can take over, and you will be bedridden almost.
Wow.
You will be almost bedridden. And a lot of people can no longer work because of the symptoms. And so that's why you have to pay attention to your triggers because, like I said, stress is what can cause a flare-up where like you may get more rashes or you may hurt more or wherever lupus is affecting your heart, you may get more water around your heart. It just depends whatever organ is affected. It may flare up when you are overstressed or overworked.
Okay. Now, to your knowledge, is there a cure for lupus, or is just medication that helps you cope with it?
There's no cure, and that's why we're trying to fight for more research because, see, with the government, they allocate so much money for different illnesses. And if no one is really crying for sake, then your illness may not get the attention that you may feel it should get.
I see.
Okay. Everybody is aware of diabetes.
Right.
So I even have that too. But so they may get a little bit more research money because there are much more known numbers of people who have diabetes. So therefore, we may get less research with the lupus. So that's why I am trying to do what I can to increase the awareness of lupus, so that we can get more research money and more because one of the main medicines that we take is Plaquenil, and that's really for if you get a snake bite, that same medicine. Okay. So, but that is the medicine that we use to help with the flare-ups and keep everything managed. Wow. So that's why we definitely need the research.
Now, as we said earlier, May is National Lupus Awareness Month.
Yes.
And you're an advocate for,
lupus.
Yes. And is there a local organization here in Jacksonville that kind of helps the national aspect of it all?
There is, but they're still working on it. So that's why I created a little support group, which I call Ladies of Lupus.
Ladies of Lupus.
Of Lupus. And I did start off with Ladies with Lupus, but that kind of had a down tone. So I said Ladies of Lupus because we have to lift our heads erect and know that we're going to have to fight this and take control of this illness and not let us get us totally down. And try to find whatever cures or medicine that can possibly help us.
So it is basically a support group.
Yes, we're going to turn it into one.
Okay, well, we're talking. All right.
And it's called, like I said, it's called Ladies of Lupus. And we have T-shirts available too. And the color for lupus is purple. So that's why I have on the purple.
Okay, I see. All right. Well, we'll talk more about it in the second half of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Ms. Gail Carter-Cade, and she's bringing Lupus Awareness Month to us this morning. And, of course, I want you to keep it right where you have it. As I always tell you, break the knob. We'll be right back.